That was like when the COVID pandemic started. So getting the wheels on the road with my career was a little bit tough at that time. It took a while to get licensed because of all the testing site restrictions. And on top of that, it seemed like the job market, it felt non-existent at the time, mostly because in school and all that, we don't really learn about the alternative routes that a pharmacist can take, begin the job search. And what ended up happening was I was like shotgunning applications all over the place. God, the only word that comes to mind when people ask me how I felt during my initial job search is hopeless. Originally, I would just go on like LinkedIn or Indeed and just look up pharmacists. I would, apply to places that I felt would work for me. I don't think I've heard anything back from any of the original pharmacist positions I applied to. Yeah, it was brutal. Didn't fit with me. It kind of like brought down my quality of life personally a good amount, to the point where I started to seek some sort of mentorship. And then I actually started a new job search and got another job. And I used some of the salary negotiation tactics from Happy PharmD. It wasn't even during the coaching, but that sort of like stuck with me since I did the coaching. So I feel like that's a breakthrough moment for me. So, I mean, I was in that spot where I was really hungry to get a job. So working with a coach, working with Julie, I mean, it put me in a spot where I wouldn't have been if I were just on the job search by myself. I kind of went through the motions that I did on the original job search and kind of just like really focused on what I wanted to do. So I wanted to stay in pharmacovigilance. And on top of that, we actually formulated a plan where, within a year or two, I tried to move to a core company, a pharma company. So I ended up looking at pharma companies, and I interviewed with one. And it was actually for a lower level position, and they ended up offering me a full-time associate position. So right now, everything's kind of going on track. And when I started working with Julie, she was very direct with what coaching is with me, and we kind of discussed it. What I understood going in and what I understand now coming out is basically like coaching isn't like a magic pill to get a job or develop yourself. It's something that you do on the side while you keep striving for what you want. So you have to really want something for coaching to even be of any use to you. I think definitely the biggest advice is to trust the process. I would definitely urge people to give it a good try of doing the job search on their own for a little bit. And then if they're struggling with resources, if they're struggling with kind of the mental aspect, getting themselves in the grind, and they're not holding themselves accountable, that's a big one. I think it's definitely important to look into coaching, and not only to look into coaching. I mean, when you look into the company like Happy PharmD, there was like a quiz to see like who matches up with you. So I think those two, like kind of trusting the process and trusting yourself and picking the right person to mentor you, it takes a great deal of like knowing yourself to do that. But I think those are the biggest advices that I would give.